Welcome to your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit. Today, we're diving into the turbulent waters of the Chinese EV industry. It's no secret that this market has been experiencing some rough seas, dwindling sales, an oversupply of vehicles, fierce price wars, and elusive profitability. Tesla's CEO foresaw this storm brewing, predicting that while Chinese EV manufacturers may eventually dominate the market, they would also face a barrage of challenges. His foresight seems to have hit the mark, and today we're exploring 6 reasons why his predictions about the Chinese EV industry's struggles were spot on. Starting with reason number 6, the capital conundrum. A few years back, the Chinese EV industry was bustling with over 500 startups. However, sustaining such a crowded market proved challenging. The primary hurdle was maintaining a steady cash flow, especially as most relied heavily on government incentives. As the requirements for these incentives escalated and vehicle sales fell short, many companies found themselves unsupported. This particularly impacted smaller second- and third-tier EV manufacturers. They struggled with disrupted capital chains and operational challenges. Despite some establishing decent production lines, their minimal margins hindered their ability to achieve quality and competitiveness. This led to a significant decline, from 500 manufacturers in 2017 to around 90 today. However, this figure is debatable as recent reports suggest that only 20 manufacturers are operating at 60% or more of their capacity. Moving on to reason number 5, the profit predicament. Musk highlighted that a business can't thrive without substantial profit margins. This is evident in the Chinese EV industry. Companies like BYD, NIO, XPeng, and Polestar have made impressive technological strides, but most are not profitable. Their profit margins, if any, are significantly lower than Tesla's. BYD is reportedly the only Chinese company making a profit, while others are either losing money or barely breaking even. Consider NIO. Despite its technological achievements and robust production system employing over 11,000 workers, its sales numbers fell short. Consequently, it lost around $35,000 on every vehicle sold last year, leading to a capital shortage and a search for new investors outside China. Polestar, often seen as Volvo's premium all-electric division, also faced significant losses. As a result, Volvo ceased funding, leaving Geely as the sole investor, though Volvo will continue to participate in new model development. Reason number 4, bankruptcy bonanza. Musk predicted that the saturated Chinese EV market would inevitably lead to a wave of bankruptcies. The number of EV manufacturers has already plummeted from 500 to 90, and this is just the start. In recent months, 5 companies have declared bankruptcy, most of which were once seen as promising. WM, for instance, despite its impressive technology and substantial initial capital of $5.3 billion, failed to establish a functional operational model and went bankrupt due to poor sales and supply chain issues. Even companies within larger conglomerates weren't immune. Evergrande New Energy Auto, despite being part of a global conglomerate and having significant resources, went bankrupt due to poor sales, losing $17 million on every EV sold. Neutron and Letton are among the other notable bankruptcies. This wave of bankruptcies is just beginning, with at least 15 once promising companies either done or on the brink. These 15 companies had a combined annual production capacity of over 10 million units, illustrating the scale of the issue. Before we delve into reason number 3, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Piston Pundit. Your support helps us connect with more automotive enthusiasts like you. Now, let's shift gears and uncover reason number 3, trade hurdles. Musk once said, "Frankly, I think, if there are no trade barriers established, they will pretty much demolish most other companies in the world." He was highlighting the competitiveness of Chinese EV companies and predicted that 9 out of the top 10 car makers in the world would soon be from China, with his own Tesla being the only Western competitor. However, Western governments were savvy enough to erect trade barriers to prevent easy expansion by Chinese companies. As a result, only a handful of Chinese companies have managed to sell their EVs in Europe. These are mostly legacy car makers like MG and Geely, who initially sold internal combustion cars. Meanwhile, EV startups and other companies are left to compete in the domestic market. Despite its size, the market is quite limited considering the number of manufacturers and the slow adoption of electrification by Chinese citizens. Currently, plug-in electric vehicles account for just over a third of the total automotive market. In such a competitive environment, even the biggest companies like BYD struggle and are forced to make some intriguing moves. This brings us to another reason why Musk's predictions about the challenges in the Chinese market were spot on. Reason number 2, the BYD dilemma. One of the most significant hurdles Chinese companies currently face is their struggle to penetrate Western markets. Even industry leaders like BYD, which has a presence in Australia, find it challenging to establish a foothold in Europe. As a result, a staggering 95% of BYD's sales are domestic. Given this, it's no surprise that the current slowdown in the Chinese EV market has significantly impacted BYD's performance. In February, the company sold 50,000 electric cars, marking a substantial 40% decrease compared to January. Year-over-year results indicate that this isn't just a typical February slump. Sales were down 37% compared to the same month last year. BYD has long been considered Tesla's primary global competitor, but recent sales figures reveal the challenges it faces, particularly its over-reliance on the domestic market. Consequently, BYD recently bought back some of its shares to protect shareholder interests and boost investor confidence. As a result, the company invested $55.6 million to double the number of A shares. What lies ahead is uncertain, but the outlook is far from optimistic. Reason number 1, the bloodbath begins. Given everything we've discussed, it's fair to say that the so-called bloodbath has already begun. The market is slowing down, and the ongoing price war is affecting everyone. The giants are faltering, while most of the smaller companies are on life support. We've already mentioned that only about 90 EV companies remain in business in China. That number is set to plummet rapidly. Of these 90 companies, at least a third produce fewer than 500 vehicles quarterly, while only 20 companies operate at 60% or more of their capacity. Furthermore, the gap between the big players and the small ones is widening. The top 10 companies now account for at least 80% of the market. BYD alone holds 35% of all EV sales in the Chinese domestic market. So, we can agree with Li Auto's CEO that there are only two possible outcomes. One is bankruptcy for all these companies, while the other is consolidation among the smaller companies. With government assistance, some of these EV manufacturers may survive. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the automotive industry. Don't forget to subscribe to Piston Pundit. Until next time, keep your engines revving and your passion for cars burning bright.